Memphis track boy. Let's go.
Welcome into a new Buff Stampede Radio. We are back into the Top Buffs countdown, and we're getting up there a little bit. We're up to number 26. We're going to go up to number 20 on this group. William, let's start with number 26, and that's tight end Sevel Smalls. Again, we were pretty close. I had him 26th. You had him 24th. What are your thoughts? You've mentioned in previous shows that you feel like this is the best tight end on CU squad.
Well, I think he did a lot in the passing game last year, and people may think that's funny, but it's not. In relationship to the wide receivers we had out there, I think he did exactly what a tight end is there to do for you, which to provide an outlet for Shedeur Sanders when one of those wide receivers isn't open. And there was a stretch there, 4 or 5 games in a row where he got us a first down on a catch at least once every time in those games, and that's really what you're hoping for from your tight end, unless you're going to have an All-American, then you want touchdowns or what have you. But I think Sevel Smalls got better at blocking as the year went on. He was perfectly fine when he was doing what we call, like the H-back type of thing, or, like a split zone or something where he's going back across the back and cutting somebody off on the backside. And I think he'll be a lot better. I mean, people gave him a hard time about his blocking last year, but the guy was a defensive player his whole freaking career. He had never learned how to block until this time. And so give him a season. There's a reason why he was a 5-star athlete, because the guy's got abilities and skills, and he's massive now. He's 260 and he looks it. And can still move and what have you. So I think he's going to be a guy you can put out there, and he can block those outside linebackers and come across the formation and give you, trap and counter blocks and whatever, and also be a threat in the passing game as well. I think after having a full season of playing a position, he's going to be a much different player this year. And I just liked him a lot better last year than most people did anyway.
Yeah, well, first off, I think you got to just start with crediting him for taking that adversity head on. This is somebody that got all those pats on the back coming out of high school as a 5-star and got, the red carpet rolled out wherever he went. And yeah, he did play. He played in some action at Washington and made some plays there, but hadn't quite lived up to that 5-star ranking. Comes to Colorado, and I don't know how many guys would switch positions and stay with the Buffs, and so it was cool to see just kind of his dedication to the team, which seems to be more and more rare in this era of college football.
It makes me think all of a sudden of Nick Casa, who was another 4-star defensive end, went down to Florida, I think, and then came back and turned into a tight end. And sometimes when you're that outstanding as an outside edge guy, it doesn't translate to the college level, and so then you find a different place to make a difference for the team, and I think that's what Sevel Smalls is doing.
You bringing up Nick Casa reminds me of a funny story. I remember when he was a freshman at Colorado, he had mono and he was really struggling, and he looks at me and he goes, "Adam, I need to get out of these dorms. It's a frickin' cesspool, man."
Yeah, funny.
But he played in the NFL for a little while. Played with the Raiders?
Yeah, he did. We had the body for it.
Oh, yeah. He's a big reason why they won one game in 2011. His touchdown catch at Wazoo was a big part of their comeback in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the way you say it makes it sound like he's the reason we were a 1-win team. It's like, really, he's the reason we had a 1 win.
Well, if he doesn't catch that pass and run, what was that? That was a long touchdown catch he had.
Yeah, so,
he and Tony Jones and Jordan Webb, that was their shining moment as Buffs. So, so moving along to the next player on our countdown. We don't need to go down that path again. Number 25 is offensive lineman Zarian McGill. He was number 23 on my list, number 27 on William's list, and he is right now perceived to be the front runner to win the starting center job here. But we'll see. William, do you think Yaya Tia, Tyler Brown, anybody else kind of pushes him for that spot?
No. Did you want me to expand on that?
Well, you see, you got him in Penn as your starting center.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I think I think I've made it clear that we've seen enough. I've seen enough from Tyler, and I'm sad to say this. I don't think he can play at this level. He's not explosive enough. He's not quick enough. And Zarian McGill is bigger and has experience at center and did pretty well in the spring. And I think Yaya is great and has a great future at center, but I'm not quite sure he's ready to be the starting guy this year. We'll see. He's still pretty young, in his football journey. I think at some point down the road, he's a first team all conference kind of guy. And the only question mark to me is he ready yet? Whereas Zarian McGill's played a lot of football, you know, uh, comes from a lower level, Louisiana Tech still, but just looking at played in all 12 games, 3 starts at center, 429 snaps, their highest graded offensive lineman. Started all 24 games at center the 2 years before that at Louisiana Monroe. So he's played a lot of games at the college level at center, and that kind of experience is hard to come by. So, and he's also he's only 6'2", but that's a good height for a center. To get that leverage on those. He's also 320, so he's thick and massive and powerful. And seeing him in a weight room like he and Gabriel Lightfoot, I'm not quite sure. I believe their heights. I think McGill might be 6'1", maybe something like that, but that's fine for a center. And I just think he's brings a lot to the table in terms of his experience and size and the power, and so I think he's the guy to beat out at center.
One queer question to throw your way, William, is where do you think you would have had Cash Cleveland on your top 40 rankings had he been in Colorado's program and possibly projected as a starting center?
I'd have had to see how the spring finished out with him, but I'm not sure he would have made a top 40. And it seemed to me he already lost that starting spot to McGill at some point, and maybe that's part of why he left. But I think Cash had a good first year, but he had limitations to his athleticism and abilities. He's not as big as McGill and not as experienced either. Cash Cleveland really knew the game and understood the game as a center and did that well. And I'll be curious to see how his career plays out from here. I think he was going to fall behind Yaya. I think he saw the writing on the wall in terms of the talent and the size of guys coming into this program. And quite frankly, Chauncey Gooden could be a good center down the road too. So, when you come into, you're a guy who's built the way, I'm just going to say this charitably, when you're built the way that Cash is, and you look at dudes like Chauncey Gooden and Yaya and Zarian McGill, it ain't hard to see the handwriting on the wall. So, we keep bringing in more talent, and it's going to be more and more dudes going to be like, hey, you know what? I can't beat these guys. So that's the point of bringing in talent. That's the job of a coach, is bring in better talent every year than what you brought in the year before.
One note I had on McGill as I wrote up this countdown on buffstampede.com, there's always a written component as well with our analysis, is that over a total of 2,000 snaps at the college level, McGill has only been penalized 6 times. He was only flagged once in his most recent season at Louisiana Tech. And for comparison, Colorado centers were penalized 17 times the previous 2 seasons. That kind of shows McGill's a little bit more disciplined, and there was some major issues with that going on at the center position the last couple of years in Boulder.
Yeah, there was, one of the key things with it, first of all, kind of like with a punt returner, every snap, you got to be able to count on every snap perfect. It's like, when you lose confidence in Zelinska's getting the ball to the quarterback's hands every time, you can't play him. You can't put him out there. And I think that part of the reasons why we had penalties at center is because they didn't have the athleticism and abilities to be top P4 centers, so they had to make up for it a little bit. So I don't know. I think that'll come down with McGill and Yaya because they're going to be bigger and stronger and quicker. And really the way you avoid getting penalties. Well, I think some of those penalties are not necessarily like holding or things like that, but it's illegal snaps and offsides and what have you.
Number 24, linebacker Reginald Hughes. He was 18th on my list, 31st on your list, William. First team All-Conference USA selection at Jackson State this past season. Had 83 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 26 pressures, a good number there as a redshirt junior. Also pretty solid in coverage. Again, we're talking about the jump up, but he did play in 12 games at Ole Miss. So it's a little bit like Nikai Hill-Green last year where right. he had that experience in Michigan, goes to Charlotte, comes back to the Power 4 level. Pretty similar trajectory we've seen with Reginald Hughes in his career.
Yeah, and I guess I had him a little bit lower because I just didn't see much from spring ball. But then you look at the guy Hill-Green, he didn't show us anything even in the first game. And it wasn't until the second game that he started and really started to take off. So Reginald Hughes is a guy that you look at, and he's got that almost identical resume to Nikai Hill-Green. So he's a guy that you could have every hope of him coming in this season and really being a first-rate linebacker. So your ranking is not crazy. I just haven't seen it yet enough at CU to put him up that high. But I have high hopes for him and French as a pair. And again, having played a lot of college football, Reginald Hughes is a guy who's seen a lot of things, and that makes a difference, So I'm excited to see what he brings into the fall.
Well, yeah, and we'll tie in Martavius French here because he's number 23 on our list. Similar, he was number 17 on my list, 30 on your list. So we were very similar in terms of I had Reginald Hughes 18, 17. You had Hughes 31, French 30. So I'm a little bit higher apparently on these linebackers, but still, if you combine our rankings, does it make you concerned that your two starting inside linebackers in terms of what it's projected right now are 24th and 23rd on the list?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I can't remember who's in front of them, but we got to,
this is it. I think as far as inside backers.
I mean, in terms of the rest of the top 20 to 22, okay. I think it shows we got a lot of talent. Frankly, that's what I've been saying all offseason. We got a lot more talent on this team than the people outside of Boulder or even some of the people in Boulder seem to grasp, And so these two guys could be outstanding linebackers, and still be at 23 and 24 in our top 40 list because, man, you could be the number 25 guy on this team and be a pretty damn good player,
Yeah.
Because then I think as we go down and get all the way down to number one, we're going to see a lot of players that are pretty amazing talents.
Fun connection with Martavius French too is forever buff Derek Webb, who was a really good linebacker at CU, coached him in high school as a linebackers coach there at Whitehaven High School in Memphis. But by the way, Whitehaven High School, that just does not sound right. I was down in Fort Worth too, and there's a street that's called White Settlement, and it's what are we doing? Come on. Can we just change the street name a little bit? Jesus.
And I'm not sure what it meant, but one of the things I like about Reginald Hughes is the size he brings to the game with that 6'2", 240, and more like that old school kind of guy, but he's a massive dude that can really lay the wood to people,
Yeah.
So
he played at Tennessee for a little bit too, so he's kind of got that same a little bit taste of P4 experience to bring into this.
Yeah, so both of these guys bringing a lot to the same things to the table that Nikai Hill-Green did last year.
Martavius is somebody that plays bigger than his frame for sure. I think we didn't have to second guess that after watching the spring game, right? I mean, he was a force to be reckoned with out there.
But he's still, he's still sort of legit inside linebacker size at 6'2", 2 1/4. I think with him, I mean, I can count. I don't know. Again, to make the comparison to last year, he's more. Hughes is more the size of Mekhi Hill Green, and then French is more the size of who's our other starting inside linebacker
last year? Fonta Bentley.
Yeah, Levante Bentley, right. So he's certainly big enough to play that role, and whatever role that they have him playing out there in a modern game of college football. So I think that's two guys with pretty good size, and we'll see if they end up being 1 and 2.
All right, number 22 on our 2025 top buffs countdown is running back Don Hayden. I had him number 21. William, you had him number 25. You look back to last year, really frustrating watching him struggle to win those one-on-one battles in open space, but he was dealing with a high ankle sprain. I saw some things from his long run in the spring game and his short yards touchdown that were different than what we saw with him in those games last year. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that it was more injuries. And Marshall Faulk certainly has the pedigree to know what a good running back should look like. So that's why I'm high on him. I think one of the things that some sports journalists do is they get feelings towards a player and they just shut it off there. You get new information on these guys and their development, and sometimes they come along a little bit on a different timeline, or it is just that injury last year that made him look like he wasn't a power 4 running back. But that's my thinking on it. Sorry for being long-winded there, William. What were your thoughts? You had DeKalin Taylor a little higher, but he looked, I think he was your number 2 running back, right?
Well, I think DeKalin Taylor is the number 1 running back, but I don't have a beef against Don Hayden. I just kept watching him last year and never saw anything. And
right,
and again, like you say, I mean, to me, Don Hayden's a guy that gets tripped by the yard marker or the yard line, the paint or something. I don't know. He just goes down with the first hand on him and didn't make anybody miss and didn't find holes well. And I thought he was a second or third. I thought he was the third best running back on the team last year. Now, I like your point, and I always agree with this, that guys can make miraculous strides and growth in 1 year at this level because they're so young. So I don't know. I guess people could believe that Marshall Faulk, the guy, knows more about running backs than me if they want to. If you're going to go that direction, I suppose maybe he might know a thing or two, but I wasn't there every day to see spring ball and see the scrimmaging and practicing. So I just haven't seen it with my own 2 eyes. If Marshall Faulk says that's the case, then I give him the benefit of the doubt and trust him on that. But I didn't see it with my own eyes, so I don't know. But I have seen what DeKalin Taylor has done in college, and it's impressive to me. So if I say the more the merrier. Let guys work their ass off and compete, and let the best guy go.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody has an issue with him being number 21 on my list, like, there's also the Ohio State component. He was a pretty good player in their system with really good blocking in front of him. And so we've seen the running game just be frustrating the last couple of years in Boulder. And so it's been a lot of different factors that have led into that. And so I'm anxious to see this one play out. That was one of those votes where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to let my past biases get in the way here, and I'm going to put him at 21. So we'll see how it plays out.
Well, and I think we also, the problems with the running game the last 2 years were, in my view, the scheming and the play calling and the formations. Our run game, and I'll defend this to anybody out there, our run game was good when we ran the right plays, and, when we focused on it last year, we were pretty damn good at it, and then we'd stop doing it. And sort of the misdirection stuff worked really well, and then we'd stop doing that, and so really, to me, the key to the running game is not the players on the field. It's going to be the play calling.
Yeah. Number 21 on our 2025 Top Buffs countdown is Cam Michael. I guess we put him in as a receiver right now. Versatile guy that could play some different roles. I had him 33rd on my list. William, number 11. So you're a big fan of his potential. I'll let you lead off here. What makes you so high on his potential going into this season?
Well, I just think he's one of those athletes that makes things happen and plays different positions, and his first spring and first year, let him play different positions and kind of learn. Now he's got a taste of college football under his belt, and a year in the weight room, it should be bigger and stronger. And I just think he's one of those special kinds of athletes, just like our next guy, Isaiah Harge. I think these are special kinds of guys, and those kinds of athletes make things happen.
Yeah. Hurt all of last season, was able to make it back in time to be able to do some of the practicing pregame stuff for the Alamo Bowl, participated in strength and conditioning work this offseason. The two words here, William, are speed and versatility. That's what makes him such an intriguing young player in this program. 10.5 in the 100-meter dash in high school. He will at times be the fastest player on that football field many times in the coming years. And in high school, he played receiver, slot, wide receiver, slot, running back, wild quarterback, defensive back.
And he's 6'1", 190. He's not a little dude, man.
No.
With that kind of speed. With that kind of speed and his size, he could be a hell of a defensive back too. I mean, this guy is again, the unicorn of that kind of thing is always going to be Travis Hunter. So you're always looking for your next Travis Hunter, and this is the kind of athlete that you're looking at for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't have him number 11 just as wide receiver Cam Michael. I had him as football player Cam Michael. I'm just looking at the list and going, this guy is going to do things. I mean, he's going to have big plays at a variety of positions this year. And he's a guy, if we get thin at cornerback, can go in there and can just do a little bit of everything. And I'm just kind of blown away by his combination of size and speed. So I think he's one of those guys. It's like, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, Mission Impossible. Hey, did you set the timer on the bomb? Yeah, I don't remember what the timer is. Well, it's going to go off sooner or later, right? I'm not sure when, but it's gonna,
Yeah, I think people forget about him because he was hurt last year, but he could have gone pretty much anywhere in the country coming out of high school. He was the number 2 ranked athlete nationally. And I gotta say, you got to use him as a Wildcat quarterback. I think that's going to be his strength because he was so good at that in high school.
And you look at we look at Omari and Miller, and we look at Draylon Miller, and we start to forget about guys like Cameron Michael, because they're just other talent in this team. That's what I keep saying. It's like these idiots saying we're going to be in the bottom 5 in the conference don't know what we got.
Well, I'm excited to get into this one. At number 20 is athlete Isaiah Harge. Number 30 on my list. Number 12 on Williams' list. The Swiss Army knife of Colorado's program. He's practiced a lot of spots, William. He's practiced at slot receiver, nickelback, cornerback, running back, and served as a situational Wildcat quarterback during his time under Coach Prime at CU. And on special teams, he was fun to watch as well. He's been a core special teams guy. You're higher on him, so I'll let you share your thoughts.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of the same comments as Cam Michael, because I think that he's another guy. He doesn't bring the size to the table that Cam Michael has, but he's certainly got that sort of shiftiness and speed, ability to play every kind of position out there. So again, I look at him and I'm like, this guy is so dangerous at so many positions that we're going to find ways. I mean, we're going to find ways to use him. And I think, didn't he wear a gray jersey and go both ways in spring?
Yeah.
So he's another guy that's going to be able to find ways to make a difference on this team on both sides of the ball, on all 3 sides of the ball, if you count special teams. And just like with Cam Michael, I think Isaiah Harge is going to have some big plays this season. They're going to break some games.
What a great tool to have, because you don't know where injuries might pile up as the season goes along, right? You could really view a position of having great depth, and then we've seen it over the years of just sometimes the injury bug just attacks one position and you're just decimated there. If that happens at a skill position, Isaiah Harge has got your back, you know?
Well, it's like you look back, like Colorado. You know, when we won the national championship in 1990, one of our top players was wide receiver Mike Pritchard, right? And so we go into the next season and we're ranked in the top 5, and we're playing Tennessee in a preseason, what they had known as a preseason bowl game, and they're ranked in the top 5 too. And our number 1 running back, Eric Bieniemy, gets suspended, right? So you take Mike Pritchard, you stick him at tailback, and you run for 200 yards. I mean, that's what these guys do, man. You know, when somebody goes down, it's like, okay, we'll get Harge in there and he'll do it, you know. Mike Pritchard didn't practice tailback all for 3 years and that fall camp or whatever, you know, but he's such a great doggone athlete that he can get it done. So Harge and Michael, to me, are guys you got to rank high because they're just going to do something. You don't know where necessarily, but
week 7's going to hit, and that's their breakout, kind of like Omari Miller, and then you hope it sustains itself a little bit more. Yeah,
right, exactly.
And great pedigree coming from St. Thomas Aquinas, you know, one of the winningest programs in Florida high school football. And I almost kind of put Isaiah Harge in, like, you know, they gave the OB patches to the guys that heard that first message from Coach Prime and stuck it out and stood up to that challenge. Isaiah Harge is almost kind of in that camp. He verbally committed to the Buffs before Coach Prime took over in Boulder.
Right. So he kind of been around a little bit and stuck it out. You know, could have gone somewhere else, but believed and stayed around. So he's another one of those guys. You know, where I keep saying there's so much talent on this team, and people outside of Boulder, and a lot of people still in Boulder, don't know about it.
We've had a lot of fun guys to talk about already, and we still got 19 more to go. So this should be fun,
right?
Leading up to camp.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I think it'll be fun to knock these last 19 out and get down there to the top 3 or 4 and see where we got.
And then we'll have football. We will have football. Well, this was fun, William. Thanks for participating in this as always, and I hope folks out there have enjoyed this because it's kind of a fun exercise. I feel like it kind of leads us right into camp every year.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and it also makes us take a little closer look at the team, and I don't know. This is the most excited I've been doing it in quite some time. You know, because this is the first time that you get down into the 20s and 30s, and you're like, wow, man, I'm not going to be able to fit everybody in here, you know?
The D-line depth this year was a different thing for sure. That was the one thing I was like, how do I rank all these guys?
Right. You know, and that's what you say. And then, well, quite frankly, you know, it's like when I was looking at all those offensive linemen, how do I start fitting all these guys in here? Which one do I pick? You know, because it's
receiver, same.
Yeah, it's not clear to me who that starting 5 on the offensive line is. Although I think we're getting pretty close. But you know, there's just so many damn dudes that you're like, man, some of these guys we're gonna have some guys sitting on the bench this year that could otherwise be pretty good players.
Yeah. Fun times, William. I appreciate you. And again, I appreciate everybody out there for tuning in as we continue to get down our list of the 2025 top buffs.